Hello and welcome to the program. I am DEJI360. The continued onslaught by insurgents in the northeast and bandits in the northwest region of Nigeria is something that's begging for urgent attention. In the space of 2 weeks, residents of Katsina have come under a series of attacks. First, it was a district head in Yantumaki community that was killed by bandits. Afterwards, a health worker and his daughter were kidnapped. This development forced residents out of their homes to protest. But unfortunately, more was still to come. Barely a week after that, the bandits struck again. This time, at least 40 persons were killed in Kadisa village of Faskari local government area of the state. In fact, the entire village was destroyed by the criminals. In a separate development, the same week, over 80 villagers were also killed by suspected Boko Haram fighters in Gubio local village. In a village now in Gubio local government area of Borno state. Now, all these happened shortly after the chief of army staff came out to boast of the successes, saying over successes now recorded against the bandits and, of course, Boko Haram insurgents, saying over 1,400 insurgents were killed in 2 months. The military has also described the Borno incident as a reprisal attack for the killing of some of these terrorist fighters. Unfortunately, these tit-for-tat attacks are coming at the cost of lives of innocent citizens in these communities. Now, with all these playing out, is it the right time to say that to say now that the Nigerian military is winning this war against insurgency and, of course, banditry? Retired military officer and security expert Colonel Hassan Stanlabo now joins us to discuss this. Thank you very much, Colonel, for joining us on the program. This attack, especially the Boko Haram attack, coming just days after the Chief of Army Staff came before the president and told the entire world that the military was recording enormous success against the insurgents. And somehow we see some of these successes, no doubt about it. But then these attacks, you think Boko Haram was using it to send a message?
Your guess is as good as mine. I would say, yes, Boko Haram could be sending a message, more so looking at the current situation on ground where the entire country's attention is being diverted towards the COVID-19 pandemic on ground. But all the same, like, Deji, these incessant banditry attacks, I would say, and it's not completely new to us. But what is more worrisome or disturbing is the regularity with which it occurs, And of course, like we all know, it comes with its hallmark: killings, burnings, kidnappings, rustling, and all what have you. I mean, cattle rustling and what have you. More disturbing also is the fact that the security agencies don't seem to be able to have been able to really address the issue of banditry on ground. I must be frank, we have not really achieved much in that area. What is it that really creates this incapacitation for the security agencies? We have always talked about the big five, which I don't want to go into, but I want to be more specific now. We know there are manpower issues, but then we should be able to also to look at incapacitation emanating from the absence of what one might want to call the absence of, a great deal of necessary. I like how to describe it, but let's say multimodal, mobility assets, such as helicopters, such as vehicles or motorcycles that have the capacity to be used in, non-motorable roads in diverse seasonal conditions. The point I'm trying to drag home here, Deji, is that, look, when these guys are operating in the forest, using motorbikes, and here you are, for instance, sending SOS message to troops, to move over and accost them. And these troops are coming over in vehicles that cannot access these guys in the bush. At best, your vehicles will end up on motorable roads. Now, what is the issue? The fact is that we lack what it takes to access these guys. So before our troops are able to access them, they have carried out all the damages that they need to do.
And they're gone.
And even abandon the place, move over to a new location. While you are in location A, they are committing atrocities in locations B, C, D. So at all time, you are arriving late as a body of men that are supposed to checkmate what is ongoing on ground.
But don't we have a problem here, Colonel? Because you take, for instance, the attack in the attack we saw in Borno State, where about 81 villagers were killed. The nature of the attack. I mean, these people said the insurgents got to their village, gathered them together as if they were going to preach to them and all of that, and then opened fire on them. Now, there is an issue here. It basically means in that village there was no security. So what I'm actually driving at is, why is it difficult that, look, after the military, for instance, liberates a community and, people come back, why is it difficult for the police to go in there and provide policing? Because if there was some form of security in that community, probably we wouldn't have had that high death toll we had.
DEJI, we keep talking about restructuring our security architecture in this country. We have completely left out a huge chunk of body of men that would have been useful as far as security is concerned. Fine, we might say the police also have their manpower issues, all right? We all know that in the rural areas in Nigeria, in communities, there in the rural areas, we have retirees from the services that have returned back home to their villages. These guys could be used in gathering information. These guys could be better used, and they could constitute a layer of informants to the authorities. But we are not looking in this direction. Okay? We keep looking at the conventional. Get men, civilians, get them trained, churn them out, either as policemen or as soldiers, and they go in as regulars. On retirement, some of these hands are still capable. All you need to do is either you bring them in on contract basis, or you appeal to their conscience to please be of use to their fatherland. But you must take the bold step to mobilize them. It is important. We have neglected that chunk, and that is why there's a huge gap when situations like this arise. We still have capable hands. I run a security company, and I know I have a few retired soldiers whom I could even call young men.
Absolutely.
I tell you, if the military were to be calling on some discharged men today to please come back to service and assist in the Northeast, I know within my company 2 or 3 individuals who will be able to go and serve. Yeah, they sign a 4 or 5 year contract and give service to their nation. Why are we not exploiting this? This should be part of the kinetic approach which we use in addressing these problems. But we are not looking at that. We are not looking in that direction. This is it. DEJI, I will tell you one thing. I commanded men somewhere in Ika where we had serious internal security issues. And I know the larger extent to which this category of people I'm talking about were of assistance to me as the local commander on ground in gathering my information. I used them very well, and they were of much use, to the extent that my higher authorities were asking me, Major, how are you gathering this information? When I revealed to the brigade commander what I was doing, he was so elated. He said, that is great initiative. I expect our army to go this way.
And we have quite a number of these retired military men, especially in the northeast of the country.
Oh my God, so many, DEJI, so many. All over the place they are. Still capable of doing things. Somebody who is in his 50s or even late 50s is not incapacitated. He might not have the physical strength, but he can still be of assistance. Those of us talking here, it's not as if we have some strength, but at least we can still be of use to the country.
There's another thing I have to ask you, especially on this issue of banditry now. We saw some of the governors introduce a different approach, talking with these bandits. At some point, the government of Zamfara State, I also remember the government of Katsina State, as a matter of fact, signed an agreement. They signed what some people at the time called a landmark agreement now with some of these bandits, and they accepted they were going to surrender their arms and that they were going to give up banditry and all of that. But just a few months down the line, they're back and causing havoc. What do you think could have gone wrong?
It's always the case when you deal with terrorism or banditry, DEJI. You see, one serious handicap with them is that there is never a unified command. By unified command, I mean somebody at the top who takes the decision for all bandits to say, yes, we agree, or we disagree. They always come in pockets of what do I call them now? There's always divisions within their ranks. All right? And once I feel the leadership is doing something funny which I think does not go with what I need, all I need to do is to break away. So you continue to have factions upon factions. How many factions will you negotiate with? That is it. When you negotiate with 2-3 factions, and those 2-3 factions wait patiently to see that they keep to the rules, but they see their colleagues benefiting, quote and unquote, from the loots, ongoing loots which they are involved in. Before you know what, this wants to join up. State government, I am not saying that there is anything wrong in going into such negotiations. Because frankly, I must tell you, no reasonable government will sit down and see its people every day go through all sorts of hardship. The government is always conscious of the fact that, look, they have they have a social contract with the people to protect lives and property. So they must always rise to the occasion. And to rise to the occasion, of course, they are compelled to see themselves talking with the enemy and see what level of respite this could bring to bear. So I wasn't surprised when it failed. We have seen it all over. These guys cannot be trusted. So the best you can do is to see how you manage the situations.
On the issue of Boko Haram, at some point, it got to a point some few months ago when everyone had that impression that Boko Haram was close to being decimated. Even Abubakar Shekar, one of the leaders, came out and in one of his videos now lamenting the huge loss that his men has suffered. But what has changed?
It beats my imagination too. As a matter of fact, I still believe we are already at the tail end of this when it comes to the Boko Haram issue, given, I would say, the leap which the Chadian action, brought for us. A great leap. They pushed this solution far forward. And so it's just a matter of we now going in to carry out what I will call the final onslaught. All right? But like it is with terrorism, as you are planning, as you think they are crying for help and assistance, before you know what, all sorts of assistance are flowing in from sister terrorist groups. Because they too have this funny way of being of assistance to each other. I help you today, tomorrow you help me. Okay? They have this idea that, look, if we are split up in our various areas of, what's it called now, consigns, and we cannot really meet the challenges, we can marry up, address one from one end, and having attained some level of victory there, recruit men who will be of assistance on the other side. So at times you might see an ongoing terrorist action mellowing down, leaving you with this sense of victory. But at the end of the day, before you know what, they come again in their numbers, and you begin to wonder, where are they coming from? Better armed, better equipped, and so on. One huge advantage we've had over Boko Haram, and which I think is something we must continue to exploit before they close that window, is the air superiority we have over them. It has been of great use. The air components in this fight with the terrorists in the Northeast have really, really played a great role in breaking the backbone. Today, Sambisa is no longer under the control, the Sambisa forest is no longer under the control of Boko Haram.
But they still operate from there.
Of course, Sambisa is a whole town of its own.
That's true, anyway.
It's a whole town of its own. Yes. So they might be at the fringes and so on. They will still have a duty and a responsibility to take full and complete grip. We have completely dislodged them. Their headquarters is every day on the run, which is a good sign. When the headquarters is moving every day, that already is a good sign that group will soon fall. Because they need to be stabilized to plan. You do not give them the chance to be able to have such stability or to have a place to say, yes, here we are safe. Let's plan. No. So you keep them moving every day, thinking of where the next safe heaven will be, and so on, which is good. We'll keep them on the run. And that is what we call the pursuit.
All right, Colonel, let's just hope. But eventually, this is a fight you think we can win?
If it's a fight we think we can win?
Do you think this is a fight we can ultimately win?
Yes, of course. Yes, we can. We can.
But it's difficult to put a timeline to it.
No. It's difficult to put a timeline to it because the jihadist is terrorism. You can't place a timeline. This is a symmetric battle. You can't place a timeline.
Because nobody expected that, 4 years or so after the Buhari administration, we'll still be discussing Boko Haram.
Yes. Really, nobody expected that. More so given our presumed might, not knowing our inventory, was no longer availing us the requisite qualification to be the might we are supposed to be on ground within the sub-region of Africa. We've got to look at our inventory again and beef it up. If your inventory does not speak might, you can't be pronouncing verbally that you are a power on ground. Today, I don't think we can call ourselves that power anymore.
Absolutely. Because
our inventory does not qualify us for that. Frankly speaking, I must tell you, DEJI. Where are all the alpha jets? When I mean alpha jets, I mean the modern ones. We need them. We need them. We went dashing Ghana some alpha jets when we could not replace them. These are things which every 5 or 10 years you must replace them. Because even the manufacturers will stop producing the parts. So you are compelled to go shopping. And when you are shopping for whatever you think you are shopping for, your shopping must be guided by the principle of, specific to task and weapon to target. Those are the two principles that must guide your shopping. Specific to task. What is the task you have ahead of you? So what do you need to address that? You must be specific about it. What is the target you intend to bring down? So, what weapon can do that? Shopping must be guided by the principle of weapon to target. Okay? And also, it must be guided by the principle specific to task. You don't just go shopping like a market woman. You must know what you want and go to the market and get it.
And unfortunately, our inventory, as you said, it's quite low.
Very low. Because especially our politicians, they are so cut off. I'm sorry. I expect to see serious synergy between the politicians and the military hierarchy. We don't have that. The politicians believe, look, we have pumped in so much into the military. The military is there telling you what you have pumped in is merely drop in the ocean. And also the politicians don't really want to understand that, look, when you talk about a defense sector, is a sector that calls for huge financial implications. All right? Look, the R&D department of the U.S. Army, what is voted for R&D in the U.S. Army is about or more than Nigeria's budget as a country. I'm talking about R&D. I'm not talking about the U.S. Army. Research and development alone.
That's quite true.
So, when we talk of defense, my brother, you must be ready to spend. And you hope you know that the extent to which you are able to establish your strength on ground as a nation assists you in projecting your foreign policy. The U.S. today talks and talks big because they know what their inventory is.
Yes.
Who wants to challenge them? If they have a problem with you, all they need to do is fly 200 Alpha jets over your country at very low level. When you get to the UN, you vote in their direction.
And the truth is that even after the Boko Haram threat, we will still in the future have more threats.
Definitely.
Even when Boko Haram is gone.
That is it, DEJI. That is it. So we must take manpower serious. We must take funding serious. We must take logistics and equipment serious. We must take training serious. We must take the welfare of troops serious. Those are the big five. If you don't address them in your defense, you are wasting your time. Troops cannot be in battle area and be grumbling over feeding. That shouldn't be a problem at all.
Quite an embarrassment.
Feeding? If you are still talking about feeding, then there is a problem. So what will you say about petroleum, oil, and lubricants? If feeding is still a problem. If feeding is still a problem. Soldiers march on their belly. I mean, these are long-time dictums. Soldiers march on their belly. That is to say, the soldier eats as he walks. We were told in the academy as cadets, when a soldier eats and empties his plate, then the soldier has not eaten. A soldier should be able to feed and there will be leftovers in his plate. Not feeding and licking your plate as if you are Almajiri. No. Soldiers must feed. And feed good. You must take good care of their health conditions. If a soldier is shot down, his colleagues want to see a Samaritan chopper dropping down, picking his colleague, going back up air and off. And the soldier's morale is high. That yes, my country is taking good care of me. Not that a soldier is shot and he bleeds till he dies. What are you doing with all your resources? That you cannot pull out the soldier to the rear? The chopper drops immediately. And his colleagues around there are giving the chopper what we call covering fire. Until the chopper picks up the guy. All this is within 2 minutes. Straight away he takes off and flies him to the rear. Right from the aircraft there in the chopper, doctors are already attending to him. And so this is how it should be. And this is the army, the Nigerian army we used to know. We fought in Liberia. Our army made us proud. We fought in Sierra Leone. Our army made us proud. Huh? And such that it got to a point whereby when there is a task which you probably give to any of the West African countries within ECOMOG, they insist you give them either a platoon or company of Nigerian troops to go with them. Because they know that once a platoon or company of Nigerian troops is going with them, the Nigerian army will not give out its men without giving them adequate logistics cover. Invariably, you have given them a chopper on standby in case of anything. That is to let you know how much worth we have for our men. Where has all that gone to? How come we are at the level where we are today? What is happening? With all the billions we see flying about? We are renovating National Assembly for how many billion? And you cannot buy aircrafts for the Northeast? The amount of money being spent in or attempted to be spent in renovating the National Assembly can give us 32 surveillance choppers for the police. 32. We worked out the details. We must get our priorities right.
Right.
Otherwise, banditry can never stop. When you are thinking of leisure rather than addressing issues. We must start thinking like a nation.
All right, Colonel, I think it's on that note we have to leave it there. Let's hope things get better. We always hope. We always hope. So we'll continue to hope. Thank you very much, Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, for joining us on the program. Thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you,
All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. On DEJI360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent.
Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country?
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that planet.
DEJI360, providing clarity to issues.